Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk about how to avoid lawyers who push for domestic violence restraining order. And this is a very fine line. On one hand, a true victim of domestic violence who is absolutely scared and afraid of the spouse and the safety of the children and your own safety, that's one story. That's what we're not talking about today. So I'm talking about the he said, she said type of situation. Let's break it down. First, how do you spot that kind of lawyer? Number one, strategy versus intent. If they focus on how to justify restraining order versus the actual facts and avoid looking at the actual evidence, not he said, she said. I'm talking about real evidence. For example, text messages, pictures, having a longer conversation with you, how it impacts the action of the abuser, alleged abuser, how it impacts on the victim, how would it impact the children. And they use emotional appeal. And when I talk about it, they use emotional tactics rather than evidence. They will use extreme examples from their career to boost their position. They will say, well, in this other case, and they will create an anecdote where scare and fear is going to be infused, where you feel, I have to file it. Not because you're afraid, but because of what will happen if you don't. Or they will say, well, if she or he files first, then you have to do it first because then you get the presumption of sole custody. It becomes a strategical move. And that's very dangerous because a lot of the cases where it was used as a strategical move have been reversed, meaning you file out of strategy, the other spouse files out of fear, and then you lose your custody and the other spouse gets restraining order and you wasted $300,000 in attorney's fees. That's catastrophic. That's what I'm talking about. Watch pattern of overuse. Observe this lawyer very carefully. Look at their cases, past cases, their reputation. If they don't have any reviews, if they don't have any lawyers who know them, look them up on Unicourt or in counties they practice by name, search by attorneys, and look how many domestic violence restraining order cases they filed and how many were actually granted. And if the domestic violence restraining order is not granted, the other spouse will go after the attorney's fees they spent to defend a restraining order. It's called prevailing party attorney's fees. That's just financial consequence. Red flags. They focus on evidence such as he said, she said. If there is no other evidence, they will push even though the evidence is not 100% clear. For example, it could be a situation where a spouse is claiming that she put attractive eyes, but there is no proof. Or he claims she raped him, but he's much bigger and she's smaller, and there is no proof of her putting him in handcuffs or anything like that. Watch how they choose the words. For example, if they say, it will look good for custody, it will look good for spouses supported division of assets, that's an absolute red flag. They will minimize long-term effect on the children and their impact. For example, if a lawyer doesn't have child or children, it's hard for them to relate how it would look like on a daily basis to do the visitation transition over our family wizard on an allegation that was based, he said, she said, where actually the question is not being asked, are you truly afraid of your safety? The lawyer doesn't ask that question. Genuinely, they don't care. They're just pushing for getting a winning result versus resolving your case and looking towards resolution. They don't really care about how your co-parenting is going to look like and how long-term the family dynamic is going to be affected. The children, the co-parenting, everything is going to be irreversible. This is point where there is no return. When someone files a restraining order without having a true fear of safety, it ruins the relationship with the other parent for a long time, if not forever, and then it disrupts the children's emotional well-being as well. So I would caution you to do your research about that attorney, to truly focus on fact-based evidence and watch how attorney speaks to you. If they push you, if they appeal to you emotionally, if they say, you're a true victim, even though you don't feel like you're afraid of the other spouse. Basically, the attitude is going to give you clues. What are you dealing with? Because at the end of the day, you will have to live with that decision. You will have to pay that attorney. You will have to go through trial. You would have to go through co-parenting apps and counseling. And also another red flag, they will discourage you from mediation. They will say, we have to win this, and then maybe, no. A great lawyer who understands the intricacies of complexity of domestic violence restraining order will do anything and everything to avoid escalation of no return type of level. If you're going through divorce and you would like to have everything in one place in an engaging way, this is your book. As a divorcee and a child of divorce, a divorce family law specialist, divorce attorney in California, I created this book to help you understand the divorce process without getting lost or without getting a heart attack. You can buy it on Amazon in all formats, including audio format. Okay, I'm summarizing this. Pushing for legal action without talking about long-term consequences. They're focusing on winning versus resolving. They have a pattern of filing domestic violence restraining orders that have very little ground. And they lack empathy of how it impacts children and co-parenting relationship. Please construe this video as my call for people who are not clear about whether or not they should file a restraining order and technically don't feel super afraid of their safety, but their lawyer is more inclined and more passionate and more pushy about domestic violence restraining order than you. That's purely what this video is about. Again, not for true victim of domestic violence. If you're a true victim of domestic violence, call 911, file a restraining order, call police, do whatever it takes to protect your safety. This is a strategy how to avoid a lawyer who will drain your money and push for domestic violence and ruin your relationship with children and your soon-to-be ex-spouse. I hope that was helpful, and like, subscribe. I'll see you in my next consultation. Bye!